As we age, we expect our bodies to slow down. But what about our minds? For millions of seniors, small changes in memory, attention, or behavior can be the earliest whispers of something more serious. Cognitive decline. It doesn't happen overnight. It begins quietly. A misplaced word, a forgotten appointment, a sudden moment of confusion that feels out of place. These subtle shifts are easy to overlook or dismiss as just getting older, but recognizing the early signs can make all the difference. Detecting cognitive decline in its earliest stages opens the door to intervention, lifestyle adjustments, and treatments that can help preserve independence and quality of life. In this video, we'll uncover the 7 early signs of cognitive decline among seniors, from memory lapses that hint at deeper issues, to changes in judgment, mood, and spatial awareness that can quietly reshape everyday life. We'll explore how to distinguish normal aging from early decline, what to watch for in yourself or loved ones, and why timely attention to these warning signs is so vital. If you care about protecting your mind, or the mind of someone you love, stay with us until the end. You'll gain the knowledge to spot these subtle clues before they escalate, and learn practical ways to respond with care, compassion, and science-backed awareness. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss more expert insights on healthy aging and brain wellness. Let's begin by looking at the first sign, one that almost everyone notices but few truly understand. Number 1. Memory lapses. Memory is the first and most noticeable faculty that people associate with aging, yet not all forgetfulness points to decline. In the early stages of cognitive deterioration, memory lapses take on a distinct pattern that goes beyond the ordinary moments of forgetfulness most seniors experience. It's normal for anyone, regardless of age, to forget where they placed their keys or to briefly struggle to recall someone's name. However, when these moments become frequent, persistent, and disruptive to daily functioning, they may signal something deeper. In cognitive decline, the individual begins to forget events or information that would once have been deeply ingrained. They may forget recent conversations or repeat questions moments after asking them. They might rely heavily on reminders, notes, or loved ones to manage even simple daily tasks. This type of forgetfulness is not about being distracted. It's about the brain's inability to properly store or retrieve short-term information. What's striking about early-stage memory loss is that it often occurs subtly. The senior might not recognize it themselves, or they may attribute it to stress or tiredness. Family members are often the first to notice the signs. Repeated stories, misplaced objects found in odd locations, or the inability to recall recent events like a doctor's visit or a family gathering. Short-term memory is typically affected first because the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for forming new memories, is often among the earliest areas to show deterioration in neurodegenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's disease. Over time, as the decline progresses, long-term memories may also be affected, but at the beginning, it's the small day-to-day lapses that stand out. A senior might forget to turn off the stove after cooking, leave doors unlocked, or miss appointments despite reminders. These behaviors go beyond the benign senior moments that come with aging. They indicate that the brain's encoding and retrieval systems are malfunctioning. In the earliest stages, the person may try to cover these lapses with humor or excuses. "I must be getting old." But inside, they may feel frustration or embarrassment. Memory loss also begins to affect a person's confidence. The fear of forgetting can make them hesitant to engage in social activities or new experiences. They may begin to withdraw, worrying that others will notice their lapses. Over time, this self-consciousness can compound the cognitive problem, as isolation and reduced stimulation further weaken memory pathways. One subtle but telling indicator of abnormal decline is when a person forgets meaningful information, like the names of close family members or familiar routes to long-frequented places. These are memories that are deeply embedded and resistant to normal aging effects. When they begin to fade, it signals a deeper neurological shift. Another important factor is the emotional context of memory. In normal aging, emotionally charged memories remain vivid. In early cognitive decline, even emotionally meaningful events, like birthdays or personal milestones, can slip away. This erosion of emotional memory can change how the person relates to their own life history, leading to confusion about their identity and past. Thus, early memory lapses in cognitive decline are not just forgetfulness. They represent the early fragmentation of one's narrative, a fading of the threads that tie present experiences to past understanding. Number 2. Difficulty with problem solving or planning. The second early sign often emerges in how seniors manage tasks that require planning, logic, or sequential thinking. Problem solving is a higher-order cognitive process involving attention, reasoning, and executive control, all of which can be subtly compromised in the early stages of decline. A senior who once balanced a checkbook effortlessly or followed a recipe from memory may suddenly struggle with tasks that require organization. They may have trouble managing monthly bills, tracking medication schedules, or planning a day's activities. The difficulty isn't just about forgetting. It's about losing the ability to process multiple steps in a logical order. This decline is often tied to changes in the brain's frontal lobes, which govern executive function, the mental toolkit responsible for planning, decision-making, and adaptability. When these regions begin to slow down, everyday tasks that once seemed automatic become mentally exhausting. In the earliest stages, these individuals may appear merely disorganized. They might start projects but never finish them, leave household chores half done, or abandon cooking midway because they lose track of steps. For instance, they might forget to preheat the oven or skip an ingredient entirely, even when following a written recipe. Family members may notice missed appointments, unpaid bills, or confusion over bank statements. In conversation, the person may have trouble following a topic from start to finish, especially if it involves abstract reasoning or multiple details. One common manifestation is difficulty adapting to changes or solving new problems. A person in cognitive decline may become anxious when routines shift or when they face unfamiliar situations. This happens because their brain struggles to apply existing knowledge to new contexts, an essential component of flexible thinking. Early on, many individuals develop coping mechanisms. They may stick rigidly to routines, avoid unfamiliar environments, or depend heavily on family members to make decisions. While these behaviors can maintain a sense of normalcy, they also mask the underlying decline. Researchers often note that the difference between normal aging and pathological decline lies not in the speed of thinking, but in the consistency and accuracy of reasoning. Everyone slows down mentally with age, but when someone begins making poor or illogical decisions in areas where they once excelled, it raises concern. This decline can extend into personal safety. For example, an older adult may forget the steps to operate a household appliance, mix up medications, or miscalculate dosages, potentially leading to dangerous outcomes. They may have trouble managing finances, leading to vulnerability to scams or poor financial judgment. Emotionally, these changes can provoke frustration, as the individual is aware that something isn't right. They might lash out when their mistakes are corrected or become defensive when offered help. Over time, they may retreat from mentally demanding activities, puzzles, games, or even conversations, as these situations highlight their cognitive difficulty. Difficulty with problem solving and planning represents the gradual breakdown of executive control, the brain's central coordinator. As this function weakens, even ordinary tasks become labyrinths, and the structured flow of daily life starts to unravel. Number 3. Language and communication struggles. Language is one of the most sensitive indicators of cognitive change. In the early stages of decline, seniors may notice a subtle but growing difficulty in expressing themselves clearly. Words that once came easily seem to vanish mid-sentence, replaced by vague substitutes like thing, that, or you know. This symptom, called anomia, often appears harmless at first. Everyone occasionally experiences a tip-of-the-tongue moment. But when these lapses occur frequently and disrupt communication, they signal deeper neurological disruption. In early cognitive decline, speech may become less fluid. Sentences may trail off, or the person may lose track of what they were saying. They might repeat phrases or pause, often while searching for words. Reading comprehension can also decline. They may lose their place on a page, or have difficulty understanding the storyline of a book or television show. Writing, too, becomes affected. Handwritten notes or emails may show grammatical errors, incomplete sentences, or disorganized thoughts. This reflects both language degradation and diminished executive control. One notable aspect is the change in conversational engagement. Seniors who once loved to chat may speak less, not out of disinterest, but because forming sentences feels taxing. They may rely more on gestures or let others speak for them. This withdrawal can be mistaken for shyness or hearing problems, but it often masks linguistic struggle. The underlying mechanism often involves damage to areas of the brain responsible for speech production and comprehension, particularly the temporal and parietal lobes. In conditions like Alzheimer's, the neural networks connecting words to meanings begin to fray. The person can still understand simple sentences, but complex language, metaphors, jokes, or idioms, becomes confusing. Communication problems also extend to listening. When cognitive processing slows, the person may struggle to follow fast or layered conversations, especially in noisy environments. They may nod along, pretending to understand, even when they don't fully grasp what's being said. Another telling sign is when language becomes literal. They may take figurative speech at face value, missing nuance and context. Over time, speech patterns can grow repetitive or overly simplistic. Emotionally, the frustration of not finding words can lead to irritability or withdrawal. They may avoid phone calls or social gatherings, feeling embarrassed by their verbal difficulties. Loved ones often describe these moments as communication breakdowns, once lively exchanges replaced by silence or short, vague answers. Language changes are profound because they disrupt human connection. They chip away at self-expression, identity, and relationships. For many families, this is one of the most painful signs. Watching a loved one's voice, once full of character and clarity, become hesitant and fragmented. Number 4. Disorientation and confusion. One of the more striking early signs of cognitive decline is disorientation. Confusion about time, place, or circumstance. At first, it may appear subtle, forgetting the date, mixing up days of the week, or getting momentarily lost in a familiar location. Over time, these episodes become more frequent and concerning. The brain's ability to orient itself relies on a combination of memory, attention, and spatial reasoning. When these functions begin to falter, the world becomes unpredictable. A person might drive to a familiar store and suddenly forget how they got there. They might wake up and not recognize their surroundings. Temporal confusion. Losing track of time often appears first. A senior may forget whether it's morning or evening, or think an event that happened days ago occurred just moments earlier. This confusion can make them miss appointments, meals, or medications. Spatial disorientation follows. They might take a wrong turn in their neighborhood or feel uneasy in a once familiar space. These experiences can be frightening, leading to anxiety and mistrust of one's surroundings. Disorientation also affects perception of sequence and routine. A person might get dressed in the wrong order, attempt to leave the house at odd hours, or misinterpret social cues about time and setting. As these episodes increase, caregivers often describe moments where the person seems lost even at home. They might wander from room to room, unsure what they were doing or where they intended to go. Neurologically, this symptom relates to deterioration in the parietal and temporal lobes, which integrate sensory information to form spatial awareness. The hippocampus also plays a key role. And as it declines, the mental map of familiar environments begins to blur. Emotional confusion often accompanies spatial disorientation. The person may become easily overwhelmed by unfamiliar environments or routines. A trip to a new doctor or store can provoke panic. They may become clingy, preferring to stay near trusted caregivers. In social situations, disorientation can manifest as confusion about who people are or what role they play. A senior might mistake their adult child for a sibling or forget how they know someone. Though these moments may pass quickly, they mark a critical turning point in cognitive stability. The early appearance of disorientation should always be taken seriously, as it greatly increases the risk of accidents and wandering. Even a brief lapse can lead to getting lost outdoors or forgetting to find one's way back home. Disorientation, in essence, is the mind losing its internal compass. It represents not just memory loss, but a breakdown of context. A gradual fading of the mental framework that tells us where we are and how we fit into the world around us. Number 5. Judgment and decision-making decline. Good judgment is one of the most complex cognitive functions, requiring a harmony between memory, reasoning, and emotional regulation. When cognitive decline begins, this harmony falters, leading to poor or inconsistent decision-making. A senior in the early stages might start making choices that seem uncharacteristic, giving large sums of money to strangers, ignoring health advice, or dressing inappropriately for the weather. These lapses are not due to recklessness, but rather a weakening of the brain's evaluative systems. The frontal lobes, responsible for executive control and moral reasoning, are especially vulnerable. As these areas deteriorate, the ability to assess risk, foresee consequences, and inhibit impulses diminishes. For example, an individual might insist on driving even after repeated close calls or wander outside in unsafe conditions. They may fall prey to scams because they can't discern deception. Financial mismanagement is one of the most common outcomes: unpaid bills, repeated purchases, or giving away valuables. In interpersonal relationships, impaired judgment can cause conflict. The person may misinterpret intentions, become suspicious, or make accusations without evidence. They may also display uncharacteristic bluntness or inappropriate behavior in social settings, not recognizing boundaries. What distinguishes this decline from normal aging is the pattern and impact. Occasional poor decisions are universal, but when they become frequent and affect safety or finances, they signal executive dysfunction. Emotionally, impaired judgment can lead to vulnerability. Seniors may become dependent on others who don't have their best interests at heart. They might resist legitimate help while accepting risky advice. This symptom often causes distress for families, who must balance respect for autonomy with protection. The person may reject assistance, insisting they're fine, unaware of the risks their choices create. In many cases, early loss of judgment precedes or coincides with other cognitive symptoms. It's often the practical trigger that brings individuals to medical attention. When unpaid bills accumulate or unusual bank activity raises alarms. Ultimately, diminished judgment reflects a deeper cognitive imbalance, a mind that can still recall information but struggles to weigh it properly. It's the erosion of prudence, that subtle blend of reason and intuition that guides human behavior. Number 6. Changes in mood and personality. Cognitive decline is not purely intellectual. It alters emotional stability and personality as well. Early on, subtle changes in mood, energy, and behavior can reveal the brain's struggle to maintain balance. A senior who was once patient and cheerful might become irritable, anxious, or withdrawn. They may lose interest in hobbies or social gatherings. This withdrawal is often mistaken for depression, but in many cases, it's rooted in the brain's declining ability to regulate emotion and motivation. The limbic system and frontal lobes, which mediate emotional expression, become less coordinated as neurons degenerate. The result is emotional unpredictability. Laughing at inappropriate moments, crying without clear reason, or showing indifference to previously meaningful events. One common pattern is apathy, a profound loss of initiative. The person may sit for long periods doing nothing, showing little interest in conversation or activity. This isn't laziness. It's a biological symptom of decline, as neural circuits for motivation weaken. In contrast, others may experience agitation or paranoia. They may become easily frustrated, misinterpret comments, or suspect others of hiding things. This stems from a combination of memory loss, confusion, and diminished reasoning. Family members often notice personality shifts before cognitive ones. A once gregarious individual may become socially withdrawn, or a reserved person may act impulsively. These transformations can be jarring and emotionally painful for loved ones, as the familiar personality of the person seems to fade. Sleep changes also contribute to mood instability. Disrupted circadian rhythms can cause irritability, fatigue, or nighttime confusion. Importantly, not all mood changes indicate cognitive decline, but when they coincide with other signs, memory loss, disorientation, or judgment lapses, they strengthen the case for early decline. In early stages, individuals may still have insight into their changes, leading to sadness or frustration. They might express fear about losing their mind, a distressing but lucid acknowledgement of decline. Over time, this self-awareness may fade, replaced by apathy or emotional flatness. Mood and personality shifts reveal that cognitive decline affects not only intellect, but also the essence of one's character. They signal that the decline is not just neurological, it's human, reshaping how a person feels, reacts, and connects with others. Number 7. Decline in visual spatial abilities. The final early sign often emerges in how individuals perceive and navigate the physical world. Visual spatial ability refers to understanding where objects and oneself are in space, essential for driving, reading, dressing, and movement. In the early stages of cognitive decline, seniors may begin to misjudge distances, struggle with depth perception, or have difficulty interpreting patterns and shapes. They might bump into furniture, misplace objects, or find it hard to follow visual instructions. These challenges stem from degeneration in the parietal and occipital lobes, which process spatial and visual information. As these regions weaken, the brain misinterprets sensory input, making the environment appear distorted or confusing. Reading may become challenging as the eyes skip lines or words. Recognizing faces, even those of close relatives, can grow difficult. This condition, known as prosopagnosia, can be deeply unsettling and isolating. Driving is often the first activity affected. The senior may have trouble judging the speed or distance of other cars, resulting in near misses. They may get lost in familiar neighborhoods or misinterpret traffic signals. In daily life, spatial errors can manifest in simple tasks: pouring water and missing the glass, misbuttoning clothes, or setting objects down in odd places. These incidents may seem minor, but their accumulation reveals a breakdown in the brain's coordination of perception and movement. Importantly, visual spatial decline doesn't originate in the eyes themselves, but in the brain's processing of visual data. Even with perfect vision, the world can appear fragmented. This symptom can also contribute to anxiety and insecurity. The person may move cautiously, fearing falls or mistakes. They might avoid activities like driving, shopping, or even walking outdoors. Loved ones might misinterpret this as clumsiness or poor attention, but it is in fact an early cognitive warning sign. Visual spatial decline often interacts with other symptoms: disorientation, judgment lapses, or memory problems, amplifying their effects. For instance, when spatial awareness falters, getting lost becomes far more likely. Emotionally, these changes can erode confidence and independence. Tasks once effortless now demand conscious effort, leaving the person fatigued. Recognizing these early spatial difficulties is vital, as they often precede more pronounced cognitive loss. They are among the first tangible ways that brain deterioration manifests in the physical world, a visible echo of the unseen decline within. Conclusion: cognitive decline doesn't begin with a sudden loss of memory or awareness. It begins quietly, in the small moments that often go unnoticed. A forgotten conversation, a misplaced object, a sudden confusion about familiar surroundings. These are not just random slips. They can be the mind's early warnings that it needs attention, care, and support. The 7 signs we've explored, from memory lapses and problem-solving challenges to language struggles, disorientation, poor judgment, mood changes, and visual spatial decline, each reveal how delicately interconnected the brain's functions truly are. Recognizing these patterns early is not about fear. It's about empowerment. It's about giving yourself and your loved ones the chance to act, to seek medical advice, and to create an environment that supports cognitive health before the decline accelerates. Remember, early awareness can make a life-changing difference. Regular brain checkups, staying mentally active, eating well, exercising, and maintaining strong social connections all help keep the mind resilient. If this video helped you understand the early signs of cognitive decline, take a moment now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more expert discussions on healthy aging, neuroscience, and wellness. Most importantly, share this video with friends, family, and caregivers. You never know who might recognize these signs just in time to make a real difference in someone's life. Our brains define who we are, and by learning to listen to their earliest signals, we take the first step toward protecting memory, identity, and independence for the years ahead.